The arrival. The vast expanse of space surrounding the Galactic Alliance's central hub buzzed with activity. Sleek ships of various alien designs darted between massive space stations, their occupants blissfully unaware of the impending arrival that would shake the very foundations of their interstellar society. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the Earth ship, defiant, her dark eyes fixed on the holographic display before her. The massive structure of the Galactic Alliance's headquarters loomed ahead, a testament to the advanced civilizations that called this part of the galaxy home. "Status report," Elena commanded, her voice steady despite the weight of humanity's future resting on her shoulders. Lieutenant Commander Akira Tanaka, her second-in-command, responded promptly. "All systems nominal, Captain. We're maintaining our approach vector as planned. No signs of hostility from the Alliance. Yet." Elena nodded, a grim smile playing on her lips. "Let's hope it stays that way. Humanity's worked too hard to get here. We can't afford to mess this up." The Defiant was humanity's crowning achievement, a ship that represented the pinnacle of Earth's technological advancements. Its sleek, obsidian hull concealed weaponry and defenses that rivaled, and in some cases surpassed, anything the galaxy had seen before. But it wasn't just a warship. It was a testament to human ingenuity, a mobile embassy carrying the hopes and dreams of billions. As they approached the central hub, the communication panel lit up. A melodious, multi-tone voice filled the bridge. "Unidentified vessel, this is Galactic Alliance Control. State your purpose and origin." Elena took a deep breath. This was it. Humanity's first official contact with the galactic community. "Galactic Alliance Control, this is Captain Elena Rodriguez of the Earth ship Defiant. We come in peace, seeking to establish diplomatic relations and apply for membership in the Galactic Alliance." A long pause followed, punctuated only by the soft hum of the Defiant's engines. Elena exchanged glances with her crew, each face a mirror of her own tension and excitement. Finally, the voice returned, a note of surprise evident even through the translator. "Earth ship Defiant, we were not expecting contact from your species for at least another century. Please hold your position while we consult with the Council." As they waited, Elena couldn't help but smile. Humanity had always been good at exceeding expectations. Hours passed as the Galactic Alliance deliberated. The crew of the Defiant used the time to observe the bustling activity around them. Ships of all shapes and sizes moved with a grace that spoke of centuries of space travel. Massive structures floated in the void, their purposes a mystery to the human observers. "It's beautiful," whispered Sarah Chen, the ship's xenobiologist. "All these different species, coexisting, working together. This is what we've dreamed of for so long." Elena nodded in agreement, but her tactical mind couldn't help but notice the defensive positions of various ships, the way they subtly maneuvered to keep the Defiant in their sights. "Beautiful, yes," she murmured, "but cautious too. We're the new kids on the block, and they're not sure what to make of us yet." Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the communication panel lit up again. "Earth ship Defiant, you are cleared to approach Docking Bay 17. A diplomatic delegation will meet you there. Be advised that any aggressive action will be met with immediate and overwhelming force." "Understood, Alliance Control. We come in peace, and we look forward to meeting your delegation," Elena responded, keeping her tone friendly but firm. As the Defiant glided towards its designated docking bay, the crew bustled with last-minute preparations. Elena addressed them one final time before they would face the representatives of 1,000 worlds. "Remember, everyone, we're not just representing ourselves, or even just Earth. We carry with us the legacy of every human who ever looked up at the stars and dreamed. Let's show the galaxy what humanity is made of." The docking procedure was smoother than they had dared hope. As the airlock cycled, Elena stood at the head of her delegation, straightening her uniform one last time. The doors hissed open, revealing a sight that took their breath away. A group of beings stood before them, each wildly different from the last. A tall, willowy creature with iridescent skin stood next to a stocky, four-armed being whose rocky hide seemed to shift and change color. Floating above them was what appeared to be a sentient cloud of gas, pulsing with bioluminescent light. At the center of the group stood a humanoid figure, its skin a deep blue, with large, almond-shaped eyes that seemed to hold the wisdom of millennia. It stepped forward, raising a six-fingered hand in what the humans recognized as a universal gesture of peace. "Greetings, humans of Earth," the being spoke, its voice resonating not just in their ears, but in their minds as well. "I am High Counselor Zarthal of the Galactic Alliance. On behalf of the 1,000 species that make up our union, I bid you welcome." Elena stepped forward, mirroring the gesture. "High Counselor Zarthal, I am Captain Elena Rodriguez of Earth. We are honored by your welcome and grateful for this opportunity." Zarthal's large eyes studied Elena and her crew intently. "Your arrival is unexpected. Many among our members believe your species was centuries away from achieving interstellar travel. Yet here you stand, with a ship that our sensors can barely comprehend. You must understand our curiosity." Elena nodded, choosing her words carefully. "We understand, High Counselor. Humanity has always been driven by a desire to explore, to push boundaries. When we discovered we were not alone in the universe, it only fueled our determination to join the galactic community." The rocky being rumbled something in a language the translators couldn't quite catch. Zarthal nodded in response before turning back to the humans. "Grokthak of the Petrons raises a valid point. Your ship, this Defiant, carries weaponry that our scans cannot fully analyze. Some members of the Council are concerned about your intentions." Elena felt the weight of 1,000 alien gazes upon her. This was the moment that would define humanity's place in the stars. She straightened her back, her voice clear and unwavering. "High Counselor, esteemed members of the Galactic Alliance, we come before you not as conquerors, but as explorers. Yes, the Defiant is armed. We would be fools to venture into the unknown defenseless. But every weapon on this ship, every advancement we've made, was born from our desire to protect and preserve life." She gestured to her diverse crew. "Look at us. In our history, we've faced division, war, and countless challenges. But we've learned from our mistakes. We've united our world, ended our conflicts, and turned our efforts towards the stars. We don't seek to dominate, but to cooperate, to learn, to grow, and yes, to contribute our unique human perspective to this grand alliance of species." The assembled aliens murmured among themselves, a cacophony of clicks, whistles, and subsonic rumbles. Zarthal raised a hand, silencing them. "Bold words, Captain Rodriguez. But words alone are not enough. The galaxy is a dangerous place, and trust must be earned." Elena nodded, a small smile playing on her lips. "We wouldn't have it any other way, High Counselor. Humanity has never shied away from a challenge. We're prepared to prove ourselves, to demonstrate that we are worthy of a place among the stars." Zarthal's large eyes seemed to twinkle with something akin to amusement. "Very well, Captain. The Council will convene to discuss your proposal. In the meantime, you and your crew will be our honored guests. We have much to learn about each other." As the diplomatic party began to move deeper into the station, Elena couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. This was just the beginning. Humanity had taken its first steps onto the galactic stage, and she was determined to ensure they would leave an indelible mark. Little did they know, forces were already in motion that would test humanity's resolve, ingenuity, and courage in ways they could never have imagined. The galaxy watched and waited, wondering if these newcomers would rise to the challenges ahead or falter like so many before them. The story of humanity's galactic debut had only just begun. The challenge. Days turned into weeks as the crew of the Defiant found themselves immersed in a whirlwind of diplomatic meetings, cultural exchanges, and barely concealed scrutiny. The Galactic Alliance, while outwardly welcoming, remained wary of the newcomers who had so abruptly appeared on their cosmic doorstep. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood before the full Galactic Council, her posture rigid, her gaze steady. The circular chamber was a marvel of alien architecture, with holographic displays flickering around the periphery and anti-gravity platforms, allowing representatives of various species to comfortably attend. The air was thick with tension and the mingled sense of 1,000 worlds. High Counselor Zarthal's voice echoed through the chamber. Captain Rodriguez, we have deliberated long on humanity's petition to join the Galactic Alliance. While your species has shown remarkable advancement, there are concerns. Helena nodded, having expected this. We understand, High Counselor. Humanity is prepared to address any concerns the Council may have. A reptilian being, scales shimmering with bioluminescent patterns, leaned forward. You claim to come in peace, yet your ship bristles with weapons we can barely comprehend. How can we trust that humanity won't become a threat to the stability we've worked millennia to achieve? Before Elena could respond, another counselor, a being that seemed to be composed entirely of crystalline structures, chimed in. Moreover, your rapid technological advancement is unprecedented. It took most species centuries to progress from planetary travel to the kind of technology your defiant displays. How do we know this isn't some form of trickery or stolen technology? Murmurs of agreement rippled through the chamber. Belina felt the weight of alien gazes upon her, some curious, others hostile. She took a deep breath, centering herself before speaking. Esteemed counselors, I understand your concerns. Humanity's history is filled with conflict, yes, but also with remarkable cooperation and innovation. The weapons you see on the Defiant were born not from a desire for conquest, but from our need to survive in a universe we knew nothing about. She gestured to the holographic displays surrounding them. As for our rapid advancement, it's a testament to human ingenuity and determination. When we discovered we weren't alone in the universe, it united our planet like never before. Every resource, every brilliant mind was turned towards the stars. We didn't steal our technology. We earned it through sweat, tears, and unyielding resolve. The chamber fell silent, digesting her words. High Counselor Zarthal's large eyes studied Elena intently. Pretty words, Captain. But as I said before, words alone are not enough. If humanity wishes to join our ranks, you must prove yourselves worthy. Elena straightened, a glimmer of determination in her eyes. Name your challenge, High Counselor. Humanity has never backed down from a test. A ripple of surprise went through the assembled aliens. It was rare for a species to so boldly accept an undefined challenge. Zarthal's lips curled in what might have been a smile. Very well, Captain. The Council proposes a series of trials, tests that will push the limits of your technology, your adaptability, and your ethics. These trials have been used for millennia to judge the worthiness of new species seeking to join our ranks. The reptilian counselor spoke up again, its voice a sibilant hiss. Be warned, human. Many species have tried and failed these trials. Failure doesn't just mean rejection from the Alliance. It could mean the quarantine of your entire species, confined to your home system for centuries to come. Elena felt a chill run down her spine, but her voice remained steady. We understand the stakes, Counselor. Humanity accepts your challenge. The crystalline being chimed in, its voice resonating like struck glass. The trials are threefold. First, a test of your technological prowess. Second, a test of your adaptability and problem-solving skills. And finally, a test of your ethics and values. Zarthal nodded solemnly. You will have 3 standard galactic cycles to prepare. Use this time wisely, Captain. The eyes of the galaxy will be upon you. As the council session adjourned, Elena made her way back to the Defiant, her mind racing. The crew gathered in the conference room, a mix of excitement and apprehension on their faces. Well, Captain, Lieutenant Commander Akira Tanaka asked, voicing the question on everyone's mind. What's the verdict? Elena looked around at her crew, the best and brightest humanity had to offer. We've been given a chance to prove ourselves. 3 trials that will determine humanity's place in the galaxy. She quickly outlined the Council's decision. As she spoke, she saw determination replace uncertainty in the eyes of her crew. Dr. Sarah Chen, the xenobiologist, was the first to speak up. A test of adaptability. That's practically humanity's middle name. We've survived and thrived in every environment Earth could throw at us. Chief Engineer Raj Patel nodded enthusiastically. And technological prowess. Captain, the Defiant is just the tip of the iceberg. Wait until they see what else we've got up our sleeves. Elena smiled, feeling a surge of pride in her crew and her species. That's the spirit. But let's not get overconfident. These trials have stumped species far older than ours. We need to be prepared for anything. Over the next few weeks, the crew of the Defiant threw themselves into preparation. They ran simulations, studied everything they could about the various Alliance species and their technologies, and fine-tuned every system on the ship. Elena spent hours poring over historical records, trying to glean any information about previous trials. The Alliance was tight-lipped about the specifics, but patterns emerged. Flexibility seemed to be key. Species that approached problems with rigid thinking often failed. As the day of the first trial approached, Elena called her senior staff together for one final briefing. "Tomorrow, we face our first test," she said, looking each of them in the eye. "Whatever happens, remember this, we're not just fighting for our place in the Alliance. We're showing the galaxy what humanity is capable of. Our ingenuity, our determination, our spirit. These are our greatest strengths." She stood, and her crew rose with her. "No matter what they throw at us, we face it together. For Earth, for humanity, and for our future among the stars." A chorus of "For Earth" echoed through the room. As Elena looked at the resolute faces of her crew, she felt a swell of confidence. Whatever trials lay ahead, humanity would face them head-on. Little did they know, the challenges they were about to face would test them in ways they could never have imagined. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if these newcomers would rise to the occasion or join the long list of species who had tried and failed. The first trial was about to begin, and with it, the true test of humanity's place among the stars. Trials and tribulations. The day of the first trial dawned, though in the depths of space, such terrestrial concepts held little meaning. The Defiant hummed with nervous energy as the crew made final preparations. Captain Elena. The day of the first trial dawned, though in the depths of space, such terrestrial concepts held little meaning. The Defiant hummed with nervous energy as the crew made final preparations. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her demeanor calm despite the weight of responsibility on her shoulders. "Status report," she commanded, her voice steady. Lieutenant Commander Akira Tanaka responded promptly. "All systems are go, Captain. The crew is ready, and we're awaiting further instructions from the Galactic Council." As if on cue, the communication panel lit up. High Counselor Zarthal's image appeared, his large eyes reflecting the seriousness of the moment. "Captain Rodriguez, are you and your crew prepared for the first trial?" Elena nodded firmly. "We are, High Counselor. Humanity stands ready to prove its worth." Zarthal's expression remained impassive. "Very well. Your first trial will test your technological prowess and adaptability. You are to navigate the Defiant through the nexus of Corthan, a region of space where the laws of physics are fluid." The crew exchanged glances. They had heard whispers of the nexus, a mysterious sector that had claimed countless ships over the millennia. Zarthal continued, "Your objective is simple. Reach the other side intact. You have one standard rotation to prepare. Good luck, humans. You'll need it." As the transmission ended, a hushed silence fell over the bridge. It was Chief Engineer Raj Patel who broke it, a hint of excitement in his voice. "A place where the laws of physics are fluid. Now that's a proper challenge." Elena allowed herself a small smile. "Indeed it is, Raj. All right, people, let's get to work. We've got less than a day to prepare for the unknown." The next hours were a flurry of activity. Raj and his engineering team worked tirelessly, reinforcing the Defiant's structural integrity fields and adapting the sensors to function in unpredictable conditions. Dr. Sarah Chen, the xenobiologist, pored over what little data they had on the Nexus, trying to anticipate the biological effects on the crew. As the deadline approached, Alina gathered her senior staff for a final briefing. "We're heading into uncharted territory," she said, her gaze steady. "But that's what humanity does best. We adapt, we overcome, we push boundaries. Whatever the Nexus throws at us, we face it together." The Defiant approached the edge of the Nexus, the viewport showing a swirling maelstrom of colors and energies that defied description. Alina took a deep breath. "Take us in, Helm. Nice and easy." As they crossed the threshold, reality itself seemed to warp. The ship's sensors went haywire, reporting impossible readings. Gravity fluctuated wildly, sending crew members floating one moment and struggling against crushing force the next. Structural integrity holding at 82%, Raj reported, his fingers flying over his console. "But these energy fluctuations are like nothing I've ever seen." Alina gripped her chair as the ship lurched. "Steady as she goes. Akira, any sign of a way through this chaos?" Akira squinted at her readings. "There's a pattern, Captain. It's subtle, but yes. If we modulate our shields to match the frequency of that energy signature, we might be able to ride it like a current." "Do it," Alina ordered. The next hours were a grueling test of the crew's skills and the ship's capabilities. They navigated swirling vortexes of energy, dodged spontaneously forming spatial anomalies, and at one point found themselves flying through what seemed to be solid matter. Throughout it all, the humans demonstrated their greatest strength: adaptability. When conventional physics failed, they improvised. When the ship's systems couldn't cope, they manually overrode and recalibrated on the fly. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the Defiant burst out of the other side of the Nexus. The crew let out a collective breath they didn't realize they'd been holding. "We did it," Akira said, a note of awe in her voice. "We actually made it through." Helena allowed herself a moment of pride before turning to her communications officer. "Hail the Galactic Council. Let them know we've completed the trial." High Counselor Zarthal's face appeared on the screen, his expression a mixture of surprise and grudging respect. "Congratulations, Captain Rodriguez. Your ship is the first to successfully navigate the Nexus in over 1,000 years. You've passed the first trial." A cheer went up from the crew, but Alina knew this was just the beginning. "Thank you, High Counselor. We're ready for the next challenge." Zarthal nodded solemnly. "Rest and repair your ship, humans. The second trial begins in 2 rotations. It will test not just your technology, but your ability to solve problems under extreme pressure." As the transmission ended, Alina turned to her crew. "Well done, everyone. But let's not get complacent. We've proven we can adapt to the unknown. Now let's show them what humans can do when we put our minds to a problem." Little did they know, the second trial would push them to their limits, testing not just their problem-solving skills, but their very understanding of life itself. As the Defiant underwent repairs, the galaxy watched and whispered. The humans had surprised them once. Could they do it again? The stage was set for the next act in humanity's galactic debut, and the stakes were higher than ever. The crucible of creation. 2 rotations passed in a blur of repairs, rest, and anticipation. The crew of the Defiant had barely finished celebrating their victory over the Nexus when the call came for the second trial. Captain Alina Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her posture tense but determined as High Counselor Zarthal's image flickered to life on the main screen. "Captain Rodriguez," Zarthal began, his tone grave, "your second trial will test your species' problem-solving abilities and your ethical framework. You are to proceed to the coordinates we're transmitting. There, you will find a dying world. Your task is to save it." Alina's brow furrowed. "Save an entire planet. High Counselor, with all due respect, that's impossible. Zarthal finished, a hint of challenge in his voice. Perhaps, but that is your task. You have 5 standard rotations. The fate of an entire ecosystem rests in your hands. As the transmission ended, a heavy silence fell over the bridge. It was Dr. Sarah Chen who broke it, her voice a mixture of excitement and apprehension. A dying world. Captain, this is exactly why I became a xenobiologist. If we can save an alien ecosystem, think of the implications. Elena nodded, a small smile tugging at her lips. You're right, Sarah. This isn't just a test. It's an opportunity to show the galaxy what humanity is truly capable of. She turned to her helm officer. Set a course for the provided coordinates, maximum speed. The Defiant arrived at the dying world 2 rotations later. From orbit, it was a sorry sight. A planet once teeming with life, now a patchwork of sickly colors and barren landscapes. Preliminary scans complete, Captain, Akira reported, her voice somber. The planet's core is destabilizing, causing massive geological upheaval. The atmosphere is becoming toxic, and the ecosystem is collapsing at an alarming rate. Elena's mind raced. This wasn't just one problem. It was a cascading series of catastrophes. All right, we need to approach this systematically. Sarah, I want you leading a team to analyze the ecosystem. Raj, focus on the geological issues. Akira, work on atmospheric composition. The next few rotations were a whirlwind of activity. Teams shuttled back and forth between the Defiant and the planet's surface, gathering data and testing theories. The dying world became a crucible, forging the disparate scientific disciplines of the human crew into a unified force. Dr. Chen's team made a breakthrough first. Captain, she reported excitedly, we've identified the keystone species in the planet's ecosystem. It's a type of microorganism that lives in symbiosis with nearly every other life form. But the geological changes are killing them off. Raj's voice crackled over the comm next. I think I see the connection, Captain. The planet's core instability is releasing elements toxic to these microorganisms. If we can stabilize the core, we might be able to save the ecosystem. Elena felt a glimmer of hope. Excellent work, both of you. But how do we stabilize a planet's core? It was Akira who provided the final piece of the puzzle. Captain, what if we use the Defiant's deflector array to create a magnetic field around the planet? We could use it to contain the core's instability and filter out the toxic elements. The plan was audacious, borderline insane by most standards. It would push the Defiant systems far beyond their intended limits. But as Elena looked at her crew, she saw no doubt in their eyes, only determination, and the spark of human ingenuity. Let's do it, she said simply. The next rotation was the most intense of their lives. The Defiant positioned itself in a low orbit, its deflector array straining as it projected a massive electromagnetic field around the planet. On the surface, teams worked tirelessly to introduce genetically modified versions of the keystone microorganisms designed to jumpstart the healing process. As the deadline approached, the planet began to show signs of recovery. The core stabilized, toxic emissions decreased, and the first hints of green began to reappear on the surface. With mere hours to spare, Elena hailed the Galactic Council. High Counselor Zarthal's eyes widened as he saw the data. Impossible, he murmured. You've done it. You've actually saved the planet. Elena allowed herself a tired smile. That's what humans do, High Counselor. We find a way, no matter the odds. As the Defiant broke orbit, leaving behind a world on the path to recovery, Elena felt a swell of pride in her crew and her species. They had faced an impossible task and emerged victorious through sheer determination, creativity, and teamwork. But there was no time to rest on their laurels. The third and final trial loomed ahead, a test of ethics and values that would define humanity's place in the galactic community. As the crew prepared for their greatest challenge yet, the galaxy watched with bated breath, wondering what these remarkable humans would do next. Little did they know, the final trial would push humanity to its very limits, forcing them to confront not just external challenges, but the very essence of what it meant to be human. Humanity's stand. The Defiant hung in space, a silent sentinel before the massive structure that would be the stage for humanity's final trial. Captain Elena Rodriguez stood on the bridge, her posture rigid, her eyes fixed on the viewscreen. The past 2 trials had tested their technology, adaptability, and problem-solving skills. But this would test their very souls. High Counselor Zarthal's face appeared on the screen, his expression unreadable. Captain Rodriguez, you and your crew have surprised us at every turn. But this final trial will determine whether humanity truly belongs among the stars. Are you prepared? Elena nodded solemnly. We are, High Counselor. Whatever challenge you set before us, we will face it with honor and integrity. Zarthal's large eyes seemed to pierce through the screen. Very well. Your final trial is this. Within the structure before you is a being of immense power and knowledge. It holds the key to unlocking technologies beyond your wildest dreams, technologies that could catapult humanity to the forefront of galactic civilization. Elena felt a ripple of excitement go through her crew, but she kept her face impassive, sensing there was more to come. Zarthal continued, however, this being is also the last of its kind. To access its knowledge, you must end its existence. The choice is yours, Captain. The future of humanity hangs in the balance. As the transmission ended, a stunned silence fell over the bridge. It was Dr. Sarah Chen who broke it, her voice barely above a whisper. They want us to kill an intelligent being for knowledge. That's monstrous. Lieutenant Commander Akira Tanaka's voice was tight with tension. But think of what it could mean for Earth, for humanity. We could leap forward centuries in a single moment. Elena held up a hand, silencing the budding argument. I understand both perspectives. But this isn't a decision I can make alone. This affects all of humanity. She turned to her communications officer. Open a channel to Earth. I need to speak with the United Earth Council. The next hours were filled with intense debate. The United Earth Council was split, some arguing for the incredible opportunity, others decrying the ethical implications. As the discussion raged, Elena found herself withdrawing into her thoughts. She thought of humanity's long, painful history, the wars, the atrocities committed in the name of progress. But she also thought of their triumphs, the times they had chosen to do what was right, even at great cost to themselves. Finally, as the deadline approached, Elena made her decision. She gathered her crew and addressed them, her voice firm and clear. I've heard all the arguments, weighed all the possibilities, and I've come to a conclusion. She paused, meeting each of their eyes in turn. We will not sacrifice an innocent being, no matter the potential gain. That is not who we are. That is not what humanity stands for. She saw relief in some faces, disappointment in others, but understanding in all. We've come this far by relying on our own ingenuity, our own determination. We didn't cheat our way through the Nexus or take shortcuts to save that dying world. We did it through hard work, creativity, and an unwavering belief in ourselves. Elena's voice grew stronger, filled with conviction. If we sacrifice our principles for a quick advantage, we lose the very thing that makes us human. Our compassion, our ethics, these are not weaknesses to be discarded, but strengths to be celebrated. She straightened, her decision made. We will meet with this being, but not as executioners. We will meet as equals, as potential friends. If knowledge is to be shared, it will be done freely and ethically. As the Defiant docked with the ancient structure, Elena led a small team inside. They found themselves in a vast chamber, at the center of which hovered a being of pure energy, pulsing with colors beyond human comprehension. Welcome, humans, a voice echoed in their minds. You have passed the final test. Confusion rippled through the team. Elena stepped forward. I don't understand. We refuse to take your knowledge at the cost of your life. The being's light pulsed warmly. Precisely. Many species before you have chosen power over principle. They proved themselves unworthy of the greater galactic community. But you, humans, have shown that you possess not just intelligence and adaptability, but also wisdom and compassion. The chamber filled with light, and suddenly they were back on the bridge of the Defiant. On the view screen, High Counselor Zarthal and the full Galactic Council looked on with what could only be described as respect. Captain Elena Rodriguez, Zarthal's voice rang out. On behalf of the Galactic Alliance, I extend our formal invitation to humanity. You have proven yourselves worthy not just of membership, but of leadership in our community. As cheers erupted on the bridge and across Earth, Elena felt a swell of pride and hope. Humanity had faced its greatest test and emerged not just victorious, but elevated. They had proven that their strength lay not just in their technology or their adaptability, but in their unwavering commitment to their highest ideals. The stars had challenged humanity, and humanity had risen to meet them, not as conquerors, but as explorers, problem solvers, and above all, as beings of conscience and compassion. As the Defiant set a course for Earth, carrying news of their triumphant entry into the galactic community, Elena knew that this was just the beginning. The true adventure, humanity's grand journey among the stars, was only just beginning. The galaxy would never be the same, and neither would humanity. Together, they would forge a future brighter than any single species could have imagined, a future built on cooperation, innovation, and the very best of what it meant to be human.